A 22-year-old pouring concrete right out of high school actually has a mathematically higher chance of hitting $1 million net worth by age 30 than a kid walking into an Ivy League MBA program today.
It completely flips the traditional script on wealth creation, doesn't it? I mean, it's wild.
It really is. Usually when we talk about building massive wealth, there's this expectation of a very specific, heavily insulated path.
Right, like the standard corporate ladder.
Exactly. You go to the fancy university, you acquire the degree, you wear the tailored suit, and you just sort of wait for the corporate elevator to go up. But today, we are speaking directly to you, the construction business owner, the contractor, the builder. Because
you're operating in a wealth-building arena that is entirely different from the corporate world.
It's the absolute definition of ground-up equity. So our mission for this deep dive today is to unpack the Scaling Legends Playbook, specifically their blue-collar millionaire framework. We are going to explore exactly how everyday contractors who literally started with dirt under their fingernails are building multi-million-dollar net worths.
Yeah, with no MBA.
Right. No MBA, no trust fund, and absolutely no Wall Street connections required.
And, it is so critical that we explore the actual mechanics of this, because the construction industry represents this highly unique economic engine.
How so? What makes it so different?
Well, it has a relatively low barrier to entry, right? I mean, you basically start with a truck and a set of tools, but at the same time, it boasts incredibly high persistent demand.
People always need things built or fixed.
Exactly. And that combination makes it one of the absolute most powerful wealth-building vehicles on Earth. But, and this is a massive but, the wealth only materializes if you actually master the underlying operational and financial systems required to capture it.
Yeah, because swinging the hammer only gets you so far. You'll just break your back eventually. Let's unpack this from the very beginning, starting with that concrete worker I mentioned earlier. We really have to talk about the blue-collar head start.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the framework.
Right, because there's this massive societal myth that a college degree is the ultimate VIP pass to financial independence. But when you look at the actual timeline, the math just tells a totally different story.
It does, it really does.
Picture that 22-year-old who starts a crew right out of high school. By the time their peers are, graduating with a master's degree and a massive mountain of student debt, that contractor already has a 10-year head start on building real, tangible equity.
And if we break down the economics of those 10 years, it's really about two things. It's the velocity of money and the velocity of experience.
Okay, break that down for me. Velocity of money.
Yeah, so that 22-year-old isn't just avoiding 6 figures of negative net worth from student loans. They are generating positive cash flow from day one.
Right, they are in the green immediately.
Exactly. And more importantly, they're acquiring deeply specialized, high-demand skills in real time. They are compounding their financial capital and their human capital simultaneously.
Well, the college kid is just sitting in a lecture hall.
Right. The traditional student is still in the theoretical phase. They are essentially paying a massive premium for the privilege of learning, while the contractor is literally being paid to learn.
It's a massive structural advantage when you look at it that way. But I do want to push back on something from the playbook here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because early on, this framework talks heavily about the concept of visualization. It argues that the most successful contractors get crystal clear on what they want before they even hire their first employee.
Yes, defining the target.
Right. They define the home, the exact schedule they want to work, the income, and they write it all down. And I have to be honest, in a gritty, boots-on-the-ground industry like construction, that sounds incredibly woo-woo.
It sounds like a life coach seminar.
Exactly. If a water main breaks on a job site at 2 a.m, having a vision board on your office wall doesn't stop the flooding. You just have to put your boots on and go.
I totally get that pushback. It absolutely sounds like fluff at first glance. But we really need to look at the actual mechanism of what they were suggesting here.
Okay.
This isn't about manifesting reality through, positive thoughts. It is pure, ruthless operational engineering. You're right, visualization doesn't fix a burst pipe at 2 a.m. But visualization dictates the operational systems you build so that you aren't the one who gets the phone call when the pipe bursts.
Oh, wow. Okay, walk me through that. How does defining my ideal lifestyle change who gets the phone call?
Well, in construction, the default state of the business is to consume every waking hour you have. If you don't define a hard boundary, It will absolutely take your nights and weekends.
Anyone listening to this right now is probably nodding their head.
Exactly. So by defining the target, saying, I want to work 4 days a week, I will never take an emergency call after 6 p.m., and I want to net $500,000 a year, you are actually establishing the engineering constraints for your company.
The constraints, like building a physical structure.
Yes. If that is the goal, you immediately realize you cannot operate a model where you are the bottleneck for every single decision. You're forced to hire a competent project manager. You're forced to create a rotating on-call schedule for emergencies.
Oh, I see.
And you have to write standard operating procedures for how to handle a burst pipe without your input.
That makes total sense. It's exactly like drawing architectural plans. You can't build a 50-story high-rise if you just randomly started pouring a foundation for a single-family home. The end goal dictates the foundation you pour.
Precisely. You are reverse engineering your company based on your desired life, rather than trying to fit your life into whatever leftover time the company decides to give you.
That is a massive perspective shift. And it naturally leads into, I think, one of the most vital distinctions in this entire framework. The realization that high income does not automatically equal high wealth.
Oh man, this is perhaps the most common trap that ensnares incredibly talented builders.
Let's break down how this playbook defines wealth, because they segment it into 3 very distinct, actionable stages.
Right, the 3 stages.
Stage 1 is comfort. At this level, your basic operational and personal bills are covered. We've got a little bit of savings, and you aren't, sweating payroll every single Friday.
Yeah, it's basically survival plus a tiny buffer.
Yeah.
But then you graduate to stage 2, which is peace.
Peace, I like that word.
That's a huge mechanical shift in the business. You have 6+ months of operational runway just sitting in cash. Your personal retirement accounts are fully funded for the year, and there is 0 financial anxiety.
So if a client is late on a payment?
Exactly. If a major client delays a progress payment by 45 days, or say an excavator blows an engine, you can absorb the shock without missing a beat. You sleep soundly.
And then there is stage 3, which is the ultimate goal, freedom. This is where the passive income from your assets and the autonomous profit from the business completely exceed your lifestyle costs.
You're financially bulletproof.
Right. You are stepping onto a job site entirely because you want to, not because you have to. But the massive barrier to getting from comfort to freedom is what I call the trucks and toys trap.
The trucks and toys trap, yes. Let's talk about the math on this.
Yeah, look at this comparison from the sources. You have contractor A making $300,000 a year in net income, but they are spending $295,000 of it.
Basically living paycheck to paycheck on a massive salary.
Exactly. And then contractor B is making $150,000 a year, but they keep $50,000. Objectively, contractor B is much wealthier, right? Because wealth is strictly what you keep.
It is. But what's so fascinating here is how our brains actively trick us in this industry. Construction inherently generates massive cash flow.
Huge numbers moving around.
Right. When a $100,000 milestone payment clears, the bank account looks huge. It is incredibly easy to confuse gross cash flow with net profit, and then to confuse business profit with personal wealth.
I see it all the time. A contractor hits their first year of real sustained profitability. The cash is flowing, they feel successful, and suddenly there is a brand new, fully loaded, lifted F-250 King Ranch sitting in the driveway.
Yep, every time.
And they justify it. They say, well, I need to project a successful image to my clients.
And that justification is exactly where the compound effect gets murdered in its crib. I mean, let's look at the underlying math here.
Let's do it.
That fully loaded truck, with the massive loan payment, the commercial insurance, the increased fuel costs, and the rapid depreciation, it easily costs $2,000 a month.
Easily. Probably more if we're being realistic with today's interest rates.
Right. So if you take that exact same $2,000 a month, put it in a boring index fund, returning an average of 8%, and just leave it there for 20 years.
What's the number?
It yields $1.18 million.
Over $1 million. Gone. Traded for a depreciating asset, they'll be worth, what, 30 grand in 5 years?
Exactly.
Okay.
That shiny new rig is literally costing you your millionaire status. Wealth isn't about the outward display of success. It's about the quiet, relentless accumulation of assets that pay you while you sleep.
Delaying gratification.
Yes, delaying gratification in those crucial early years is what builds the capital required to reach the peace and freedom stages we just talked about.
Okay, so let's say I listen to this. I keep driving my 10-year-old Tacoma. I aggressively save that 50 grand a year, and I start building real capital. Now I have a totally new problem.
The target on your back.
Exactly. I've accumulated cash in an industry that is famously litigious and full of physical risk. Keeping the money is only half the battle. Now I have to protect it.
And this is where we transition from offensive wealth building to defensive asset protection.
I love the analogy they use here of building a ship with watertight compartments. If the hull gets breached in one area, you seal the compartment and the whole ship doesn't go down.
Brilliant.
But practically speaking, how does a contractor actually build these compartments?
You have to separate your operating entity from your hard assets. Most contractors start out keeping all their eggs in one corporate basket.
One big LLC.
Exactly. Yeah. The LLC that signs the contracts and hires the employees is the exact same LLC that holds the title to their commercial real estate and owns their $1 million fleet of heavy equipment.
Which means if an employee causes, say, a catastrophic accident on a highway or a massive structural defect triggers a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, the entire ship is exposed. The lawyers can come after the land and the equipment.
They absolutely will. The Playbook mandates that you compartmentalize. You set up a completely separate legal entity, let's call it a holding LLC, to own your real estate. And you set up another separate entity just to own the equipment. Your operating LLC, the one taking on the daily risk and signing the client contracts, holds practically zero hard assets.
Wait. If the operating LLC needs an excavator to do the job, but it doesn't own one, how does it actually work day to day? Aren't you just creating a massive paperwork nightmare for yourself?
It sounds like it, but it's actually a beautifully orchestrated flow of money. The operating LLC signs a formal lease agreement with your equipment LLC.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Every month, the operating LLC pays a lease fee to use that excavator. This does two incredible things. First, it legally moves cash out of the high-risk operating LLC and safely into your secure equipment LLC.
That's genius.
And second, if the operating LLC ever faces a catastrophic lawsuit, the lawyers will look at the books and realize the company owns nothing but leased tools and pending invoices.
There's nothing to take.
Exactly. Your core wealth, the real estate and the equipment, is legally walled off in those watertight compartments.
That is a phenomenal mechanism. The cash naturally flows away from the risk. But shifting gears from external threats like lawsuits, let's talk about the biggest internal threat to that cash flow.
Employee turnover.
Yes. We usually think of internal leaks as wasted material or stolen tools, but the real silent killer of margins is turnover.
It drains capital faster than almost anything else.
The numbers in the deep dive sources are staggering. Every time a skilled employee leaves, it costs the business between $15,000 and $25,000.
Just walking out the door.
Right. In lost productivity, hiring expenses, onboarding, and training. If you lose 4 guys a year, you just burned $100,000 of pure profit. And the framework argues that the ultimate defense against this is company culture.
Which a lot of people dismiss.
I have to admit, I was skeptical. In construction, culture usually just means we pay on time and occasionally buy pizza on Fridays.
Yeah, it's often dismissed as HR fluff. But the reality is that high turnover is a symptom of operational chaos. When we look at the numbers, the connection is undeniable. According to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, the highest margin contractors also score highest on employee satisfaction metrics.
That is fascinating. So profit and a positive culture aren't competing priorities. They are actually driving each other.
They are inextricably linked. I mean, think about the daily reality of a superintendent.
Okay.
If they are constantly putting out fires, dealing with delayed materials, and getting yelled at by clients because the schedule is wrong, they will burn out and leave, no matter what you pay them.
So true.
A strong culture in construction doesn't mean trust falls and ping pong tables in the break room. It means providing your team with clear communication, safe working conditions, and organized processes so they can actually succeed at their jobs without losing their minds.
Which perfectly bridges us to the next critical question. How do you actually remove that operational chaos? because scaling a construction business traditionally means scaling an absolute mountain of paperwork.
The endless paperwork.
Permitting, daily logs, RFIs, submittals, change orders. I've talked to phenomenal builders who say that scaling their revenue just meant they went from swinging a hammer during the day to staring at chaotic spreadsheets until midnight every single night.
And that is the exact bottleneck that prevents a business from moving from comfort to peace. If the business relies on your manual, heroic effort to stay organized, you don't own a business. You own a very stressful, high-paying job.
Ouch. The true.
To retain your best people and protect your margins, you have to systematize for scale.
And this is where we have to talk about how artificial intelligence is completely restructuring the back office for contractors. The most successful builders aren't just hiring armies of administrators to push paper anymore.
No, they're adopting AI platforms that essentially act as project-aware assistants. Let's look at a concrete mechanism like an RFI, a request for information.
Right, a classic bottleneck. A superintendent finds a clash between the plumbing and the structural steel on the blueprint.
Historically, what do? They have to go all the way back to the trailer, pull the physical plans, write up a detailed explanation, email the architect, and then wait 2 weeks, which delays the whole project.
But with modern AI platforms, it's completely different. The superintendent literally just takes a photo on their phone. The AI automatically tags the photo to the exact location on the digital blueprint, cross-references it with the 500-page specification book, drafts the technical RFI for the project manager to review, and logs it.
It turns a 2-hour administrative headache into a 2-minute task.
It's magic.
It fundamentally eliminates friction. And it goes beyond just paperwork. These systems can review project activity to identify schedule risks before they even happen. They monitor budget variances in real time, so leadership can actually see where the money is bleeding today, not 3 weeks from now when the accounting department finally reconciles the month.
Which is usually too late to fix it.
Exactly. And this is crucial because Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report indicates that tracking these exact metrics is what allows you to build real equity in your business.
And that concept of building equity brings us to the ultimate destination of this entire framework, the exit, the payday.
Now, I know many contractors listening to this right now are probably thinking, I am never going to sell my company. I love what I do, or I want to pass it down to my kids.
Sure.
But the core philosophy here is that you must build the business as if you're going to sell it to a private equity firm tomorrow.
Because a business that is ready to be sold is, by definition, a business that runs perfectly without you. It has those watertight asset compartments we talked about. It has a strong culture with low turnover. And it has the automated AI systems handling the chaos. Let's break down the specific exit math here, because this is where the millionaire part of the blue-collar millionaire really clicks into place.
Let's run the numbers.
Let's say you have a specialty contracting business doing $5 million in annual revenue, and because you've systematized everything, you are running at a clean 15% net margin.
Okay, so that 15% net margin means the business is generating $750,000 in pure bottom line profit every single year.
Now, if the business relies entirely on you, if you are the only one who can estimate a job or smooth things over with the top client, a buyer won't touch it.
Not a chance. Because the minute you leave, the business collapses.
Right. But because you've built autonomous systems, that $750,000 of profit is highly transferable. Buyers in the current market will typically pay a multiple of 3 to 5 times earnings for a systematized commercial contractor.
Which means the valuation of that business, the physical check you receive the moment you hand over the keys, is between $2.25 million and $3.75 million in a single transaction.
That is generation-changing wealth. And you know what the most incredible part of this is?
What's that?
That $3.75 million is only for the operating LLC.
Precisely. Because you built those watertight compartments years ago. The private equity firm buys the operating LLC, but you still own the commercial real estate and the fleet of heavy equipment in your holding companies.
Which means the new owners of the operating company now have to sign lease agreements with you. You walk away with a multi-million-dollar cash payout, and you retain a massive stream of passive monthly lease income for the rest of your life.
It is a brilliantly designed ecosystem of wealth.
It really is. Let's synthesize this incredible journey we just went on. It starts by recognizing the raw power of the blue-collar head start. Earning early, avoiding debt, and aggressively acquiring skills. But then it demands the absolute discipline to avoid the trucks and toys trap. You have to understand the math of compound interest and prioritize keeping your money over looking wealthy to your buddies.
And from there, you shift to defense. You physically structure your legal entities to protect those hard-won assets, ensuring that a single bad day on a job site doesn't wipe out a decade of hard work.
Next, you protect your margins from internal leaks by building a culture that retains top talent. And you do that by utilizing advanced AI systems to strip away the administrative chaos, preventing burnout and allowing the business to operate autonomously.
All of which culminates in building an asset that commands a massive multiplier on the open market.
It's a phenomenal roadmap.
It really is. But, as we wrap up, it leaves me with a final overarching question for you, the listener, to really chew on.
Lay on us.
If wealth is truly about what you keep, and the ultimate value of your business relies entirely on systems that allow it to operate without you, at what exact point does your internal identity need to shift?
Well, that's deep.
At what point do you stop viewing yourself as a contractor who simply owns a very demanding job and start viewing yourself as an investor who just happens to own a highly tuned construction asset?
Wow. That is a fundamental pivot, isn't it?
Think about the gravity of that identity shift. How would stepping into that investor mindset change the very first operational decision you make tomorrow morning? Would you still rush to the job site to solve a minor dispute, or would you spend that hour rewriting the standard operating procedure so the dispute never happens again?
That changes the lens on absolutely everything. It forces you to stop swinging the hammer harder and start looking at the blueprint of the entire machine you're building. What an incredible deep dive into the mechanics of real wealth. To you, our listener, thank you for joining us on this journey today.
It's been great.
If you found value in this breakdown, please subscribe to the show, leave us a rating, and write a review. It genuinely helps us reach more builders. Most importantly, share this deep dive with your team, your project managers, or another contractor who needs to hear this playbook. And to explore the tools that can help you actually implement these operational systems, visit smartbusinessautomator.com.
Because a strong foundation is the prerequisite for a massive structure.
Exactly. Until next time, remember, don't just build buildings, build your wealth. We'll see you on the next deep dive.